Hello, and welcome back to Spittin Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. Today, this video is college football pick'em for week 2, college picks for week 2. We again will have David Mize with us to make picks this week, so let's just go ahead and get right into that. All right, we are back with David Mize. How are you this morning, David?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to take my beating from you that I got. Boy, my picks were way off. I was completely surprised by the SEC this week.
Yeah, I was too for the most part, other than the ones that we knew were gonna take care of business. What were your biggest takeaways from week 1?
Well, I thought that Ole Miss looked a lot better than I was expecting. Their quarterback looked really good. And then, of course, LSU Miami game was the big shocker for me. I thought that LSU looked a lot better than what I was expecting. And I was somewhat impressed with their quarterback. He wasn't just throwing it all over the field or anything like that, but I thought as a game manager, he did a really good job. And then the Auburn-Washington game, I was surprised that Washington got off to such a terrible start. They kind of woke up there, as the game progressed and as we got towards the end, but by that time it was a little too late.
Yeah, that first quarter of the Auburn game and a lot of the second quarter, Auburn was moving the ball at will and then getting stuffed once they got close to getting the scoring area. LSU, I didn't get to watch it. I had to do something else, but I asked somebody what the score was. They said 27-3, and I was like, Miami, and they were like, no, LSU. I was like, oh. It's like, what in the world's going on there? But yeah, they said the quarterback play was a lot better for LSU. And then Ole Miss, they did play defense. They gave up 42 points a game last year, but quarterback, I thought he was going to be good, but their receivers and quarterback play are going to give everybody a fit this year probably, because they probably have the 3 best receivers in the SEC. But so last week, David, you did go 3-4. You got Alabama. You had Notre Dame, and what was that last pick that you had? I'm trying to remember who else did you have. You had Alabama.
I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember who you had too. But anyway, you ended up with three wins last week, and I ended up 5-2. So you got some work to do to catch up with me. Oh, West Virginia was your last one.
Okay.
And I missed Michigan, and I missed Miami. But anyway, so this week we'll just go ahead and get into the games this week that I have. There's 8. There's 8 instead of 7. All involving ranked teams. But first game, Saturday, number 18 Mississippi State heads to Kansas State, 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. Central Time, ESPN, Bill Snyder Family Stadium, Manhattan, Kansas. Mississippi State is an 8-point favorite. Who you going with there?
I'm going Mississippi State. I'm going to take the lessons I learned from last week and be really careful about picking against any SEC teams. I probably will pick against maybe 1 or 2. I don't know, but definitely not Mississippi State. I think they can go up there and handle Kansas State.
Yeah, they get their starting quarterback back. Line's 8, which I think is kind of small. Kansas State struggled with a FCS school last week, or a group of 5. They struggled with them last week. Mississippi State's only 8 points. I think they win by 14. But we're both Mississippi State there. The next one, UCLA. They lost to Cincinnati last week, but UCLA heads to number 8 Oklahoma, 12 p.m. Central Time on Fox Memorial Stadium, Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 30-point favorite over UCLA.
Yeah, I got to go with Oklahoma as well. If Bob Stoops was still there, I'd be on the danger thing if this would be one of those Stoops games that he just out of the blue loses. But he's not, and I think Oklahoma wins this one going away.
Yeah, Oklahoma by 30. That's a lot, but you saw what they did against Lane Kiffin and his offense last week, even though that was only FAU. But 30 points may be a little much, but yeah, I think they win rather easily tomorrow. The next game, number 3 Georgia heads to number 24 South Carolina, 2:30 start time, Central Time, CBS, Williams-Brice Stadium, Columbia, South Carolina, and Georgia is a 10-point favorite in that game.
That's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to that game. But I've got to go with Georgia. I think they just have too many weapons. And at some point, South Carolina is South Carolina.
Yeah, 10 points is too much. I think it's probably going to be a 7-point game. But actually, I'm going to go with South Carolina. I think they finally do something. They do something in this game, but they'll probably flounder later. But I'll take South Carolina, maybe a field goal at the end or some crazy play for South Carolina to take the win over Georgia. It just wouldn't surprise me if South Carolina does something big and then flounders later. But I'll take South Carolina tomorrow. The next game, number 2 Clemson. They travel to play Texas A&M, 6 o'clock, ESPN, Kyle Field, College Station. Clemson is a 12-point favorite.
Well, this is going to be one of those SECs that I go against. I was impressed with A&M last week. They did fairly well, but I just don't think that they've got anything close to keeping up with Clemson, and especially with Clemson's defense. So, it's going to be Clemson, and it might not even be pretty.
Yeah, Clemson, they have a 2-quarterback system that they're still running, and I think this isn't a good time to run that playing at Kyle Field, but I think Clemson will win that game. But if A&M finds a way to pull that out, they're not only SEC, they should probably be looked at as national contenders. But, yeah, I don't think there's any way. I'd say Clemson by 14, no matter who's playing quarterback. I was more impressed with the freshman Trevor Lawrence last weekend than I was Kelly Bryant. But, yeah, I'll take Clemson. And I'll take them to cover in that game. But the next one, Kentucky, they head to Florida, number 25 Florida, at 6:30 SEC Network, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Gainesville. And Florida is a 13.5-point favorite in that one.
Yeah, I think Florida will win that game pretty easily. I am looking forward to seeing a little bit more out of Florida and Dan Mullen and see how that's progressing.
It seems no matter what the deal is with Kentucky, they can't beat Florida. Last year, they were definitely better than Florida was last year, and still found a way to lose that game at the end. 31 years in a row or something like that now?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Florida. I actually think it'll be closer than 13.5, more like 7 to 10. But yeah, Florida at home. Kentucky, they haven't lost to them in over 30 years. I'll take Florida. The next one, you got number 13 Penn State. They will be playing at the Pittsburgh Panthers, 7 o'clock, ABC, Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, PA. Penn State is only an 8.5-point favorite in that game.
I'm going Pittsburgh. I just wasn't that impressed with what Penn State did last week.
I don't think anybody was. I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, is this happening?
Right.
And then it was Appalachian State, a minute 40 left, and it says they go up 38-31. I was like, what is happening? And then they fought back, and Trace McSorley got it done. I actually think Penn State wins by 10. I think Trace McSorley, I think them as a team get their act together, but Trace McSorley will be the difference maker for Penn State in that game, and they beat Pittsburgh. Next one, this is the only top 20 matchup of the week. You've got number 17 USC traveling to number 10 Stanford, 7:30 on Fox, Stanford Stadium, Stanford, California. Stanford is a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, I'll go with Stanford. Yeah, that's one of those areas that I'll just go with the real experts on that one. You can only catch so many games last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stanford played on Friday, and Bryce Love struggled, but their quarterback play was tremendous. So I think Stanford wins by 10, 14 points, but yeah, I don't see USC beating Stanford at at Stanford. Bryce Love gets it going. KJ Costello picks up where he left off last week. Stanford wins.
Yeah, those West Coast teams, especially they're on Friday, that's high school football here. And usually by the time they're on TV, I'm way asleep.
Yeah. Well, wait till you hear the start time for this next one.
All right.
Number 15, Michigan State at Arizona State, 9:45 p.m. Central Time start time. On ESPN, Sun Devil Stadium, Tempe, Arizona. Michigan State's a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, I got to go with Michigan State. Man, I tell you what, those games like that, I've gotten to the point now where even those Alabama games, those 8 p.m. kickoffs, I'm going, golly, this is going to be rough,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Michigan State really, really struggled last Friday. It took a phenomenal play by one player to tip it up in the air and go intercept it himself for them to beat Utah State.
Right.
But Michigan State, I think they get their act together. Probably a 3-point game. Arizona State with Herm Edwards. A lot of hype around them this year. But yeah, I'll take Michigan State in that game. But that's all the games for this week. Obviously, Alabama, you first home game down there for you guys. You got a namesake event. I guess you'll be watching the game from home this weekend, huh?
Pretty much. Once I get off at 2, so once I get out of here, and the fans usually head towards the stadium, and I usually head the opposite direction
to the house.
To the house. I watch it from the recliner.
Yeah. No need in paying all that money when you can just watch it at the
house. No, that's right. That's right. If it was trying to make a bigger game when I can, but small games like that.
Yeah, there's some decent ones this year at home. So
yeah.
But yeah, I guess that will do it for this video. That is our picks for week 2 of the college football season. Look for next Friday. We got week 3. Got some big games in SEC and of course across the country next week as well. But if you did enjoy this video with David and I, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. But this has been Spittin Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar. That is David Mize, and we'll see you guys next week.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide it is. We'll see you guys next week.